Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. It is finally here. Week 1 of the NFL and fantasy football season kicks off in just over 24 hours from now with Chiefs-Ravens. We are finally back answering all of your questions. We can actually talk real football, react, talk about stuff. Oh, it is going to be a glorious next 3 to 4 months of fantasy football and 6 total months of NFL football. Without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zollo. As always, Josh and Ryan, and I'm used to saying as always and introducing a guest, but it is just the boys for Wednesdays. How are we doing?
Fantastic. Look at this beautiful view. Kind of proud of myself on this one, not going to lie.
Yeah, you're finally on the bottom. Makes total sense. Makes complete sense.
Basement boy where I belong.
Yeah, I gotta make a basement boy overlay. That has to be what's up next. First off, fantastic to see faces back in here. Hello, Caesar, Dice Dealer, Gator, fuck you, Dad, and Duarte. This is I could be wrong. I haven't seen this name previously, so
yeah,
Duarte is one of my regulars on the mock draft show as well.
Look at that. Okay, well, I have not seen you before. Duarte, welcome to MPI. Millie Mills, welcome back.
What a way to find out Joe does not watch my mock draft show.
But when I texted you that Antonio Gibson went in the second round, and I said fuck mock drafts, you didn't think that was the dead giveaway?
A little bit of a hint.
And yes, people, Antonio Gibson went in the second round in one of my leagues, to which CBS Sports in a post-draft email called it a reach. One might say that's a reach, but we'll see. Always remember, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody. We're over 1,200 now. We're at 1,206.
1,208. We've added 500 subscribers in the last 8 months. So shout out to each and every one of y'all for supporting us and helping us continue to grow.
I think
just in the
off-season. I said we picked up 2 in the last 24 hours, right? Based on what Josh.
Yeah, what you sent yesterday. That's fantastic. Thank you, everybody. And fun new thing that YouTube can do is called Super Chat. We always get questions on these shows, especially on Starts a Different Day as well. Super Chat, something where you can actually, it's basically, if you're familiar with Twitch, you can leave a tip pay to have your comment featured. What that's going to do for us is we get to every question, but if we're like 15 questions deep and you want it number 1, we're just going to bump it right to number 1. So
that's how you skip the line.
Yeah, it's basically like you're in the deli and you're 81, you see 40 up on the number sheet. No, you get 41. That's exactly what happens. So, fun new thing that we have this year. So, and that's obviously all because you guys have liked and subscribed enough to get us to that point. So we appreciate it. And Trophy Smack read. Focus on commish gear. You didn't put anything for me there, so I'm just gonna toss that.
I was gonna do the read. I figured you could just kick it to me.
Yeah. But like, we're not like a formal show, like Get Up or anything like that. We're more laid back. So we're partnered with Trophy Smack.
There you go. So our sister site, Women of Fantasy Football, we have a new partnership with Trophy Smack. You can head over to trophysmack.com/WOFF. That's WOFF. Use that affiliate link. Purchase anything from Trophy Smack. You can buy stuff off their Ladies League page, the Rose Gold Championship belt, any trophies or belts that are purchased between now and September 24th. You will receive a free championship ring. All you have to do is enter promo code WOFF, WOFF, for a free ring. The commish gear, it's a really cool thing. Obviously, fantasy drafts are up and running. You want to say thanks to your commissioner. Get him some cool shit. If you hit the link in the description, there it'll take you over to one of the offerings that Trophy Smack has. It's literally just like a little like ring that you can wear. It's decorative, whatever. Just shout out your commit, show a level of appreciation because they put up with a shit ton of crap from all of your league mates. So show them that you actually appreciate them. So once again, do all your shopping at Trophy Smack, www.trophysmack.com/WAF.
If you hate your commissioner, just buy stuff for yourself. So that's pretty.
Yeah.
That works too.
That's pretty easy. I've never heard of anybody getting anything nice for their commissioner. I've never gotten anything nice. I've just gotten hurtful texts and horrible trade offers.
Running a league.
Yeah, it's horrible. Quick news and notes before we dive into upsides, downsides, everything, and of course your questions. Millie Mills, I see yours right there. Joe gets something for your commissioner.
I agree.
My dad's my commissioner in 2 of my leagues. So, Bo Nix has been named the team captain. He's the first rookie in Broncos history since 1967 to be named the captain. I believe that was the first year of the Super Bowl era. So that's how long it's been. Now, did he earn it? I'm sure. Did Sean Payton just really want to make his ego boost go through the roof and say, I was right on Bo Nix? I think that's also a very big point of making Bo Nix a captain right here. Damar Hamlin will start on Sunday for the first time since his medical emergency in Cincinnati. So huge news out of Buffalo. That is huge for Damar Hamlin. Jamar Chase practiced today, but Zach Taylor says we'll see. Who knows? Who absolutely knows it?
What a mess.
A complete mess. Hollywood Brown is out tomorrow against the Baltimore Ravens. Not that I think any of you were going to start him, but he's out.
I swear I saw this news like 5 days ago. Like I mentioned it on a show, like he's officially out now. And then it just happened yesterday. So I don't know what I saw. So.
Yeah, no, officially just happened. Kyle Pitts, hamstring injury. That's not good. But he is currently questionable for week 1. Patrick Surtain resets the cornerback market in a big way, and rightfully so. $24 million over 4 years. The next he's $3 million AAV ahead of the next closest guy. It's
hilarious that resets the corner market when that's like half
backup quarterback money.
Quarterback's 1 year salary.
Well, and after last weekend with Travis Hunter in Colorado, everybody's like, "Oh, what position is he going to play in the pros? Because he can't do both." Yada yada yada. Dude, if you're his agent, tell me why he wouldn't be pushing him to play wide receiver.
The only thing to play.
That's what I'm saying. They're
Travis
making
playing wide receiver.
The best wide receivers making $11 million per year more than the best corner.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter wants to play wide receiver.
Christian
plain
Kirk
simple.
Get 17 a year. That's 11 more than
21.
Yeah.
Chris Kirkcock, $21 million a year. It was 4 years, $84
Regardless,
million.
a lot more than Surtain.
Yes, a lot more than Surtain. And lastly, the official NFL season hype video shows Taylor Swift 5 times.
Damn.
Do you want to know how many times Joe Burrow is shown? 0. You want to know how many times CJ Stroud's shown? 0. You want to know how many times Brock Purdy's shown? 0. Spoiler alert, so are Matt Stafford, Jordan Love, Justin Jefferson, Myles Garrett, and TJ Watt. 0.
Myles Garrett.
Give the people what they want. That's what it boils down to.
It's just funny. It's just funny. Quick audience question before we dive into upside downside. Millie Mills, 10-man PPR snake pick 7. Straight up, Millie Mills has been here. He knows how to lay out the question. How'd he do? Amon-Ra, I'm gonna imagine Derrick Henry, not Hunter Henry in the second round. Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Alvin Kamara, David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson. Jake Ferguson, Tank Dell, Jaden Reed, Jamison Williams, and Pat Freiermuth. Am I missing a quarterback?
No, Jordan Love.
First pick.
Love, sorry. My bad. I skipped over Love for some reason. I like it. I'm not mad at it.
I like the squad too.
I like it a lot. I absolutely love it. So
4 deep at running back's important. Super deep at wide receiver. I don't think you need GMO or Freiermuth, but I don't know who's out there on waivers. So
yeah. And then from Ramiro Senceros. I know I said it wrong.
That's definitely a new name.
Yeah, I know I said
First
it wrong.
off, Ramiro, why are you yelling at us, dude? We don't need the all caps.
No. No, here,
he wanted to make sure he covered up Josh's entire
I got it.
head.
I got it. 1 through 10, 10 league PPR. Quarterback Joe Burrow. No, I can't. That's too long.
Yeah,
He's got Jacobs, Rashad White, Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, Evan Ingram. And his flex, he's got Devonta Smith and Tank Dell. Backups, Aaron Jones, Blake Corum, Roma Dunze, Keon Coleman, Dallas Go Dirt. I don't mind it. I don't love the running back situation at all, but it looks like you played hero RB and your receivers are really good for hero RB. So I'm not angry about that.
Yeah, say the Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, Devonta Smith makes it really, really nice. Oh, and Dell has to play in the flex as well, so it's a double flex league. Yeah, I like it.
I think it too. I mean, the top 4 wide receivers, Hill, Moore, Smith, Tank, can't really ask for much more than that. I mean, but again, when you have a loaded running or a wide receiver room, your running backs are going to take a little bit of a hit. Joe Burrow is slid a little bit. I think that's great value. I like it.
Boom. Love it. 2 good ones to start off. And yes, this is my burner account. I am a super fan. I did. Yeah, super fan, Joe Zollo. Excited to have everybody in here. Upsides. Let's get into them. Going to go through all 3, and then I'll pick one out for each of y'all, just as we did last year. Josh. Yeah, Josh Jacobs top 8 in Philly, technically in Brazil. Marvin Harrison scores a touchdown against Buffalo, gets his first NFL touchdown in week 1. And Bryce Young, top 15 quarterback against the Saints. You've already previously mentioned to us that you believe 0 defense is played in Brazil, to which I'm the opposite. I just think both teams suck in Brazil because it's week 1 and they both didn't want to travel. Marvin Harrison going up against from last year to this year, the depletion of the Buffalo Bills defense needs to be
This is what I put in my notes. Buffalo went from Saks Fifth Avenue to Goodwill at corner in one offseason.
Pretty much. The one I want you to talk about is Bryce Young. This is like going from Goodwill, and then, maybe you go to the nice section inside of Target. I think that's the step we're looking for Bryce Young in week 1. The Saints aren't a vaunted defense by any means. It's a division game, and he's at home. Top 15, Dave Canales, new head coach. You think it works out well?
Yeah, I mean, this is the ultimate, is the Dave Canales hype real, right? This was the fun stat that I pulled. Last year in 2 games, the Saints sacked Bryce Young 8 times, 4 times per game.
Is that good?
That was 21% of their season total sack numbers in 2 games against Carolina. Now, we know about the offensive line improvements that Carolina has made. Let's figure out how quickly that changes. But here's the fun news. In 2 games against the Saints, when Dave Canales called plays for the Bucs, Baker Mayfield threw for 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The Saints defense is largely unchanged. And those veterans are already limited in practice this week after a preseason. Marshawn Lattimore and Willie Gay, both limited today. So I'm very curious to see how this all plays out. I think Bryce Young has a newfound set of confidence just because he has a coordinator really and a coach in Canales that believes in him and what he's capable of doing. And Bryce Young's skill set is not dissimilar from Baker Mayfield. Both of them have 0 issue throwing into traffic, throwing the balls in the spots that they need to go, and just ultimately trusting their weapons. Deontay Johnson gets open better than anybody in the NFL, or as good as anybody in the NFL. So I think that there's going to be room for at least some upside. Even if it's 250 and 2 touchdowns, I think that gets top 15 production this week.
Bryce Young and Baker Mayfield, both undersized first overall picks that will not perform well throughout their careers in the NFL. I mean, that checks out perfectly. You know what, Josh? That's a great comparison. That's the best comparison you've ever had in your entire career here on NPI, and I'm happy for you. It's only up from here.
Now Bryce just needs Mike Evans to make it work.
Hey, you know what? There's hope for Xavier Legette. Just probably not in week 1.
Or week 2.
Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans. Adam Thielen.
I was going to say, in one of those games, Chris Godwin had 11 targets and 8 catches. I'm just
Hayden Hurst. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, not Hayden Hurst. Who's the who's the tight end? Tommy Tremble.
I say it's
Cade Otton.
It's a co-starter situation between Tremble and Ian Thomas still.
How that's
you remember insane. When we destroyed Lauren for her Ian Thomas take. And he is still in the NFL.
Yes, for how much she loved Ian Thomas.
Yeah.
Wow. And she gets paid to do this. That's crazy. That's crazy. Ryan, your 3 picks. Jaden Daniels is top 10 in his first game in Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin in that same game has 15-plus fantasy points on the other side of the football against Washington. And for those new,
it's back, baby.
Ryan, every week in his upsides, one upside is always a 2-touchdown special. In his downside, there's always a no-touchdown special. Spoiler alert, he's 2-30 on his 2-touchdown specials. So don't. Now, I will say, some of them have had 1 touchdown. It wasn't a full curse last year. The first year he did it, they didn't score. They didn't score at all. Last year got a little better, and we'll see this year because I too like this guy against Carolina. But Ryan, I have too much of Alvin Kamara for you to jinx him in week 1. So
not only that, last year, let's not forget the backups kept stealing my 2-touchdown games, which made everything infinitely worse for me.
What week 1, you had Bijan 2 touchdowns, and it was Tyler Algier with 2 touchdowns.
Yep. When Josh told me this is the one he wanted me to talk about, I said, how much more analysis do you want than it's Carolina? Carolina gave up the most touchdowns to running backs last season. They gave up like the 5th most fantasy points to running backs last season. They're just not a good defense. And then I covered them for the preseason for football guys. They're hurt on top of all of that. Last season, the Carolina Panthers gave up 6 2-touchdown games to running backs. One of them happened to be a 3-touchdown game to Raheem Mostert, but 6 last year. And as I mentioned, the most to running backs. One of those games, week 2, against the New Orleans Saints. But it was Tony Jones because Alvin Kamara wasn't playing. So I'm already setting myself up to get vultured by a backup here. But here's the thing. When you look at New Orleans, Kendry Miller's on the pup. Jamal Williams seems to be on his way down. I don't think there's going to be a backup. I think this is going to need to be a heavy Alvin Kamara game. I was hoping there would be some Alvin Kamara history against Carolina. There is not. He has scored like 2 touchdowns in his last 6 games total against them. So I'm betting against history here, but I'm betting against a very bad Carolina defense.
I really hope you're right. I don't ever like you being right on the 2-touchdown specials, but I really need you to be right on this one. Also, I know we somewhat follow all the same philosophy similarities here. I didn't realize how many guys I liked that had a bye week 12.
Yeah, rough.
I did a draft yesterday, and like everything was week 12 and 14. I'm like, oh shit.
I did not. I literally every team I was like, oh, I'm just losing in week 12. I'm simply losing in week 12. I think I have 4 running backs on one roster with a week 12 bye.
I was gonna say I noticed it during best ball season because you try to like picket fence your bye weeks in best ball season, but the guys I loved all had the same bye week, and I'm like, I have to straight up ignore players who I think are better or just be bad. So
it's crazy. All right, my 3. Atlanta's defense has 4 sacks and 2 turnovers against Pittsburgh. Terry McLaurin is top 15 against Tampa Bay, and Joe Mixon is top 12 against the Indianapolis Colts. I've talked enough about how shitbag the Tampa Bay secondary is, and it hasn't gotten any better. So I'm not going to go in on Terry McLaurin. I do want to focus on the defense because I think in some leagues, defenses are a little undervalued. And I think a team that's extremely undervalued on defense this year are the Atlanta Falcons. Ryan, go ahead. I know you're going to say something.
The first time we've ever had a defense on upside downside. It's certainly the earliest in the season we've ever had a defense on upside downside.
I've definitely put one. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
It is by far the earliest, and I'm putting them here because in fantasy football drafts, and I will impart this wisdom onto everybody here, look at the week 1 matchup. Unless you're drafting like San Francisco, New York, and you want to go or like that's they're matchup proof, as you would say. Look at the week 1 defense. You want to know how many people drafted Cincinnati? Nobody. They're playing the Patriots in week 1. You want to know how many people drafted Atlanta? Nobody. They're playing Pittsburgh week 1. And I think Atlanta is going to be a top 10 defense this year. But these defenses that may be like, meh, or you may look at them and say, well, they don't really create a lot of turnovers. They may not get to the quarterback as much. They're playing Russell Wilson, who is notorious for holding onto the football too long. And yes, does he turn the ball over through the air a lot? No. That's why I put 2 turnovers in general. I still think there's a lot of kinks to work out there, and I don't think Russ is ready. I really think Atlanta has a really good week, and they could be a top 5 defense this week. If you don't like your defensive matchup and you got a crap guy on your bench that you can drop, I love Atlanta's defense this week. So.
When I wrote the defensive article for Football Guys, Joe, I kind of hit on what you said, where I picked out 5 teams that I thought were very good defenses, but I put them ahead of some defenses you would call. I'm going to call out specifically the Baltimore Ravens. I put them ahead of the Ravens, all 5 of these teams, because the week 1, and then I think Baltimore doesn't have like a really nice matchup for like a month into the season. Whereas a lot of people regard Baltimore as the best defense in the NFL right now, and they may be, but for fantasy purposes, I don't love them. And I said exactly what you said. Look at that week 1 matchup. I'm not going to say Baltimore's not a good pick, but they're not worth what they cost you in the draft when you don't feel comfortable starting them against the Chiefs the very first week of the season. Like, I hate shit like that. Whereas I advocated for teams like Atlanta, teams like the Las Vegas Raiders, who get the Chargers in week 1 with a mildly banged up Justin Herbert, and the Raiders have a very favorable schedule because of how they played last year.
Oh, and Atlanta sees the Saints, the Panthers, and the Bucks.
Yep.
Twice each.
Well, that's what we talked about in the
6 games a
offseason
year.
with their schedule. Like,
Cupcake.
Atlanta's schedule is set up to
Cupcake.
do really well. Yeah.
They
team should be running away with that division this year.
That team could have 12 wins at the end of the year solely based on how bad their schedule is.
And if you folks don't pay attention to IDP or defensive moves, go look at their new defensive roster.
Unreal.
It is a different team there. They really started the ball rolling with Jesse Bates last year, but they just kept it rolling.
And then they brought Justin Simmons in late too this offseason. So
that's about to be the best safety duo in the league. See ya.
God, yes.
Justin Simmons and
God,
Jesse
yes.
Bates. What's up? Craig, between Zay Flowers and Keon Coleman. Zay Flowers is in Kansas City. Keon Coleman at home against Arizona. And Gator chimed in and said, trust the vet in week 1. Do you guys agree, Ryan?
I adore Keon Coleman. Everybody knows I love my tall wide receivers. I got to see something from what this Buffalo offense is before I'm rolling him out there. So yeah, it's Zay Flowers.
Josh?
Yeah, it's Zay for me. I think that the Ravens-Chiefs game is going to be very defense and run game heavy. So I don't really see a ton through the air, but I want to see it with Coleman first. I really do not trust that Buffalo passing attack because right now we just have no idea the distribution of targets. So just from that perspective, I would rather go Flowers, even though I don't think his ceiling is as high this week.
I don't love Zay. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like Keon Coleman. I think that's a shootout in that game. I don't think there's I don't think there's a lot of defense being played. Nobody can cover any of the weapons on Arizona. Nobody can. I mean, I'm not to say the weapons are great on Buffalo. I don't think anybody can cover Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakir or Dalton Kincaid. So it should be a back and forth game. I will roll the dice on Coleman this week. If you want a much safer pick, it's Zay Flowers. But I will roll the dice on Coleman this week. I think there's no one else to cover at receiver outside of Zay Flowers. And Justin Reed's going to take control of Mark Andrews. They're just going to trust Justin Reed to cover Mark Andrews. Zay Flowers is going to get the best, and he will see help. The strength of KC's defense lies in the interior, and I mean like straight up the pipe. That's including the safeties. That's where Zay Flowers lives.
Yeah,
and if he's going deep and they're in a cover 1 coverage, I don't like it. He's definitely safer, but I think he's more like a 4 for maybe like 40 yards this week. I think Keon Coleman could get you 2 and a touchdown, and he's getting you more points. So that's what I like. George has a couple in here. Should I drop 80 Mitchell for Rashid Shaheed? This is a standard. Ryan, I'll start with you.
I don't have any AD Mitchell anywhere. At best, he's the second receiver on a low passing volume team. And that's not someone that I'm clogging my roster up with, especially not in a non-PPR. Rashid Shaheed is a touchdown waiting to happen every time he touches the ball, and that's what you're looking for in standard leagues.
Josh.
Yeah, Shaheed for me. I don't even know how much A.D. Mitchell is going to see the field. I think people are propping him up because of Josh Downs, the injury. So, he's ideally going to be on the field, but he's more of a outside threat anyway, whereas Josh Downs is more of a slot guy. So I just think that this team is going to run a lot more like 12 personnel with 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers, which ultimately is going to keep A.D. Mitchell off the field anyway. Rashid's their wide receiver too in New Orleans. So he's going to have a lot more opportunity than Mitchell. Give me the guy that's actually seeing opportunity.
I could have saved us a lot of time because I knew everybody's answer, but it's Rashid Shaheed. And George also has Murray and Cousins, asking if he should drop the backup QB for Ray Davis or Jordan Mason. I will start.
I would go get Ray Davis.
I would get Ray Davis as well. Yeah, I would get. It's not even close.
I would want to know more about the league just because Murray does have an injury history. If there are a bunch of quarterbacks on waivers, I'm okay with it, but neither of these running backs are all that appealing to me at all.
I agree with that, but I think they will utilize Ray Davis how they wanted to utilize Damian Harris last year before he got hurt, which is short yardage situations, potential goal line carries, and on the off chance James Cook gets injured, you have Ray Davis. Nobody is behind Ray Davis that is going to compete with him for carries. And as someone who got to see him live at the Combine, I liked Ray Davis a lot. I think he was undervalued in the draft, and the Bills got a very good player late in the draft. But I agree with Ryan. Don't just drop Cousins, especially if there's not much happening on waivers. But if it's a 1 QB league, you should be okay letting go of Kirk Cousins and just keeping Kyler Murray. We are 26 minutes in. We're flying through, people. This is great.
Love this.
Remember, if you're not, like and subscribe, as we always do. We appreciate it. We've had 500 of you join us in the last 8 months in the off season. We appreciate it. And especially in busy times, especially on starts at different day, Super Chat is now available. You can drop it, pin it directly to the top, and leave a little tip in there, and it goes right to the top of what we will see. We will shoot it to the top. Even if there's 20 questions ahead of you, we're putting it right at the top. Downsides. Josh, you have DK Metcalf outside the top 24 against Denver, Breece Hall outside the top 12 in San Francisco, and Patrick Mahomes outside the top 10 against Baltimore. Mahomes actually doesn't feel like a bold pick because he was outside the top 10 a lot last year. DK Metcalf outside the top 24. Hint, folks, Pat Surtain.
I was going to say I did that because everybody knows that watches this show how high I am on DK this year, and my notes are pretty simple. The short answer, Metcalf will likely see a lot of the best corner in the league, Patrick Surtain. Long answer, same thing. A lot of Patrick Surtain.
And Patrick Surtain is a big boy. He's not as big as DK Metcalf, but he's big enough to hold his own.
Yep.
I wanted to talk about Breece Hall. I as a Breece Hall fantasy manager in multiple leagues, because I think he ends up the RB1 this year, I don't love the matchup this week. And can you explain to me why you don't love it either? And it's going to make me a little more confident in him this week if you're explaining how bad it is.
Yeah, at the end of the day, San Francisco's run defense is good. And they have a lot of the same pieces from last year, same coaching staff and everything. There really should not be a ton of regression when it comes to this run defense in San Francisco. They were the third best run defense in the league statistically last year. And they allowed the 5th fewest fantasy points per game to running backs. Breece Hall can do a lot through the air, and I think that's great. I just have this weird feeling because, again, it's in Northern California where Aaron Rodgers is from. He's going to want to come out. He's going to want to throw the football because this is what Aaron Rodgers does. First 4 plays of last year was 1 run, which, again, was a 26-yarder, which is great. 26 yards against San Francisco is probably not going to happen. And then 3 straight pass plays. The other fun statistic that I found, the individual who tackled Aaron Rodgers that tore his Achilles.
Yeah, he's on the 49ers. Floyd,
yeah.
He's on the 49ers now this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joe's been saying this for 2 months.
I've said that since he fucking signed. You found out that tidbit. Can you listen? Please open your ears.
I never listened to you, Joe. The same way that you never listen to me.
I have been saying since March or April, whenever he signed, I have been saying So you're
fair,
telling
you've been
me
saying it since the schedule came out.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah, fine, that's fair. So May, God, wow, that feels like ages ago.
Been a while. Probably why I don't remember you saying it.
Listen. All I know is I've been counting down the days until September 9th when Leonard Floyd sacks Aaron Rodgers on the 4th play of the game.
And you're calling that it's going to be the other Achilles this time, right?
And something happens that does not allow Aaron Rodgers to continue in the game. I'm not going to say what. We never wish injury upon anybody here. We never do that. Unless you're a complete douchebag, then maybe we wish it a little bit on Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, and that way it, ends his career and everybody can shut up a little bit about him. But no.
Kudos to the Jets. They have improved their offensive line. Obviously, we know how good the defensive line. Well, they've improved it, but the problem is those improvements are also older. So I'm curious to see how much.
Listen, here's what Aaron Rodgers has going for him. Nick Bosa is on the other side, and Aaron Rodgers is white. We all know statistically that Nick Bosa doesn't perform as well against white quarterbacks. That is not. Look, it's a stat. Look up the fucking stat. He has half a sack against white quarterbacks, a sack and a half against black quarterbacks. I don't make the rules. I simply look at the stats. All right? For you numbers guys out there, that's a stat. That's just weird. That's all I'm saying. It's just weird. So he's safe from Nick Bosa. That's good. He's safe there. They don't have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about that side of the offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, to you. Brock Purdy, not top 15 against New York. Apparently nobody likes anybody in this Jets 49ers game. Christian McCaffrey feels bulletproof, but they both have very good defenses. Amari Cooper, not top 30 against Dallas. In the no touchdown special, I have you focused on both touchdown specials here. Now, I didn't want to focus on Purdy because we know Jets have a good defense. Didn't want to focus on Amari Cooper. That game, Dallas has good defense. I mean,
the thing I'm worried about with Cooper, I'm just throwing out there, is I don't think we're going to see the chemistry between Cooper and Watson based on Cooper missing a lot of time this preseason. All the chemistry talks have been David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy. Just keep an eye on that.
Well, when Jerry Jeudy drops 3 of his first 2 passes, then that's really going to be an issue.
Did you say 3 of his first 2?
Yeah, 3 of his first 2 passes. It's really hard to do, but he's going to do it. That's like Florida State going 0-2 and it's only week 1 of the college football season. Yeah. Absolutely insane. Also, College Football Committee, you're a bunch of pussies for not ranking BC, all right? Rank the Eagles. That's un-American. Rank the Boston College Eagles, you un-American pieces of shit. Ryan, the one I want you to talk about is a no touchdown special, James Cook against Arizona.
This one, it was all about what I was betting against. I'm betting with history here. James Cook, in his career, has 4 rushing touchdowns.
That's a lot.
On 326 carries in 2 seasons in the NFL.
How many rushing touchdowns do you have?
That's fair.
He has 4 more than you.
He has 4 more than I do.
Yeah.
In 2 more seasons than I do.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Arizona's defense gave up the most fantasy points to running backs last year. They didn't give up a ton of touchdowns, but they gave up touchdowns. The thing that scares me a little bit with this one is they did give up receiving touchdowns, and we don't know how the receiving numbers are going to split out for Buffalo. But the long and short is it's been this history for a while. The short yardage running back for this team is Josh Allen. That's not changing. They're not going to ask Josh Allen to get crazy with the football as their offense gets less trustworthy. They're going to put more faith in him. He's going to be the guy inside the 5-yard lines on quarterback sneaks and bootlegs. And I just don't see James Cook busting a long touchdown against this defense. It's not a great defense, but they're fast. And I just don't see James Cook having the speed to get away from these guys. Specifically, Budda Baker, I think, could shut James Cook down in this game if that's the role they decide to have for him.
Budda dog. Look out for Budda Baker. I love it. I wanted to talk about that because Arizona's defense really isn't top-notch. They played above their pay grade last year, I would say, and I think that maybe continues, but not finding the end zone for one of 2 guys who was a starter last year and has rapport with Josh Allen is definitely a bold take.
I'm banking on a Josh Allen game, basically. Sure. And I'm banking, as I mentioned, on the fact that over his career, James Cook has only scored 1 touchdown every 8 games. So,
1 rushing touchdown every 8 games.
1 rushing touchdown every 8 games.
Yes. All right, on to me. I have A.J. Brown outside the top 15 against Green Bay in Brazil. Chase Brown outside the top 28 against New England. And Jahmyr Gibbs outside the top 10 against the Rams. I said it before. I think both teams just suck, and it's on the road in Brazil, and they're both going to be bad. It's plain and simple. I just think they're both going to suck.
You and I have completely different viewpoints of that game.
Yeah,
I know.
Literally thinks
I know.
It's all points.
No, I just think neither of them want to be there. They hate it, and I think there's just going to be a lot of rust. And also, Brown sees Jair. That also plays a little bit into this. I don't love Jair Alexander, but he is a douche and a pest, and A.J. Brown has been known to get angry sometimes. So I think that could play a factor. The big one, I don't want people to fall into the Chase Brown trap this week because they're going to see New England and they're going to get excited, and Chase Brown's on every single roster. And if you have Chase Brown, good. You should have Chase Brown. I like Chase Brown a lot this year. I don't love the New England matchup. Cincinnati is notorious under Joe Burrow, awful in week 1. I think they're 1-4 in week 1 with Joe Burrow as the starter.
I believe that.
They're not good in week 1. They're horrible in week 1. If Jamar Chase doesn't play, okay, Christian Gonzalez, man up on T. Higgins, and everybody else fend for themselves. I love Yoshi. I love Charlie Jones. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the coverages that Mayo and the defense are going to cook up. The strength of the Patriots defense is going to lie in their front 7 right now, and their safety's playing in the box. Jabril Peppers is going to play up there. He'll pop a dude no matter what. But then Juwan Bentley, they have run-stuffing linebackers. They don't have pass coverage linebackers. They have run-stuffing linebackers. I don't love it. Chase Brown could kick me in the ass and rip a 60-yard run, and that automatically, breaks my downside here. Definitely. But I don't love his consistency in this game. In future games, Chase Brown to the freaking moon. But I think also, since he's going to want to run with Zach Moss a little more, they're going to realize Zach Moss actually sucks, and then they're going to go to Chase Brown more throughout the season. So
I was going to ask you, did you read anything into Moss being listed as the starter and Brown being listed as the primary kick returner?
I don't give a shit about that. Chase Brown should be returning kicks. I'm not too worried about kick return injuries this year, in all honesty, with how it's lined up. I think putting your best guy back there in basically, if you're putting a running back there, it's a running back lining up behind 11 or 10 offensive linemen. Essentially is what it is with a 20-yard head start. So I don't hate it, and I think it's a good thing that they're putting guys like that back there. Now, I do have 2 bonus ones.
Real quick, before you do that, Joe.
No.
I think the biggest thing with Chase Brown that people need to be cautious of, we still do not know the split between Brown and Moss and how these two are going to be used. It's really easy to be like, oh, one's the Thunder, one's the Lightning, et cetera, et cetera. But you're going from basically running out Joe Mixon 75% of the time at running back to now trying to replicate that between 2 backs and what that timeshare ultimately is going to look like. That, to me, is what we need to be cautious of and kind of use that wait-and-see approach.
I agree with that there. My bonus 1, Bo Picks, 2 interceptions in Seattle. This is a spite pick.
Captain?
Yeah, the captain. This is a spite pick because fuck Sean Payton. He's a dumb head coach. And Bo Picks is a sick nickname that the Georgia fans have given him. And it's Seattle, and he's a rookie in his first game in Seattle. That's
you
not
said the same thing last year about C.J. Stroud being a rookie in his first game. I'm just throwing that out there.
Was that in Seattle?
No, it wasn't in Seattle, but you were just calling it like a rookie in his first game, the hype and all that stuff. That's why you had him.
Yeah, and C.J. Stroud had 0 touchdown passes and should have had fucking 4 interceptions.
I would say you were so mad about the dropped picks.
Yeah, they had 4 fucking pick opportunities they just dropped in their hands. So, Seattle, don't fucking drop any picks this week. And then my bonus number 2, Aaron Rodgers under 0.5 passing yards. I think if they give that bet again, you have to go with the under just for shits and giggles. Am I taking it really? No. But if DraftKings is going to give me a free $10 bet, you bet your ass I'm putting it on Aaron Rodgers under 0.5 passing yards. For those that don't know, Last year, DraftKings did a free bet up to $25. Aaron Rodgers over half passing yard. A no-brainer pick when you think about it.
Gotta do it.
And that pick did not hit, so the free money that DraftKings was about to give out, they just didn't because Aaron Rodgers got hurt. That was absolutely hilarious. All right, to Bronson. Start 3. Michael Thomas in the profile picture. What a guy. What a dog. Start 3, flex PPR. Jalen Waddle, Terry McLaurin, Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman. Josh, basically sit 1.
I'm going to sit Coleman. Who do the Chargers play?
Raiders.
Oh yeah.
So it's an away game for both teams, weirdly enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'll line up Ladd. I'll sit Keon. Give me the other guys.
Ryan.
I'm probably going to play Keon. You actually talked me into the high scoring game thing. So I would sit Ladd in this situation. I think Waddle and Terry are guys that you're starting for sure, though.
Waddle and Terry, the automatics. Love me a little Ladd McConkey. I don't love not knowing what's going to happen there, but it is a good point that Raiders-Chargers tends to be a pretty back-and-forth game no matter how, and I love the Raiders' defense this year, but it always tends to be a back-and-forth game, and their weakness does exist in their secondary. They sure as shit don't have a slot corner. So I like, if going on those, I like Ladd McConkey there because I feel he's actually a little more, he'll have more targets. And I don't know. I don't love Jalen Waddle this year. I just feel like he's going to be just a big play guy, swing or miss. And Keon Coleman also feels like that right now. So I'd much rather a little Ladd McConkey in that situation. Stream of the week, Master. This guy, he's back. This is this is interesting. So fuck you for your tight end pick, you dick. But go ahead.
I'm going to interrupt.
No.
I'm super digitized right now. Can you guys even hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Before we jump into stream of the week. Okay,
What?
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure my internet was fucking up. So I wanted to make sure before I started talking. So.
Ryan, we can't hear you. What'd you say? I'm kidding. We can hear you.
I was like, you bastard.
Yeah, I'm a dick. Real quick, Dice Dealer just dropped one in. Dynasty trade. Half-point PPR. Olave in 2 firsts next year for Marvin Harrison Jr. It feels a little steep. Ryan.
You don't even know what Harrison is yet. Give me the 2 first and Chris Olave.
Josh.
Honestly, I'm not that high on Olave. I think
I'm not either.
Firsts?
I was going to say he's basically Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, but 2 firsts.
I mean, Terry McLaurin isn't a wide receiver 1, so Marvin Harrison really is valued as like a top 5 wide receiver in Dynasty and hasn't played a snap. So I think that's a pretty fair price, truthfully. I mean, to me, it kind of depends where those firsts are. Like if they're projected mid to late, I'll happily take Marvin Harrison. If at least one is likely to be a top 3 pick, I might go the Olave side, but for me, it's less about the picks and it's more about who do I want, Harrison or Olave, and I prefer Harrison.
Dice Dealer, you've been here a couple of years, I think. I think it's probably season 3. You've been watching this show. You know, in this situation, he has 6 first-round picks. Okay.
Oh, well then I'm not making that trade. You don't need 2 more firsts.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, I think he would be getting Marvin Harrison. I think he would be giving up 2 firsts for Marvin Harrison.
At that point, yeah. What's 2 firsts if you own 6 of them?
Okay, so in that situation, it's a little different, but I would offer Olave in 1 first because
no one's taking that.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody's taking that.
You don't know. Someone drafted Antonio Gibson in the 2nd round. Anything could fucking happen, guys. Anything could happen. I'm just saying, anything could happen. I would offer Olave in 1 first. Just to see. Because then maybe you can go Olave a first and a second. And then still have 5 first-round picks. 5. I think 2 firsts and Olave for an unproven rookie is too much.
And here's where I'll buy into that a little bit, Joe, because I don't know what the rest of his draft looks like, but inundate them with middle draft picks, first, second, and third, and hang on to as many first as you can. You don't need second and third round picks when you have 5 fucking first round picks. So.
I, this past year, had 6 first round picks. I had no second round picks, and I think 1/3 by the end of it.
Yeah.
I got every fucking top rookie under the sun. I took them all. So use those. I would not go the 2 first right now. I would not do that.
This is
Ryan,
what I will say, Dice Dealer. We have a trade show, Trade Blocked. Covers all dynasty trades. Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Drop that trade for those guys to talk about because they're likely going to give you much better info since we're more redraft centric on this show. So,
yeah, but I'm smart, and I think you should.
Yes, and how well do you do in dynasty, Joe?
Let's talk about this for a second. Ask me how I did in my draft this year and what I did to get all those first round picks. You dingbat.
Great at drafting.
I was going to say, drafting is one thing, but you can't put the final product together.
I am insane at drafting.
There are 3 combined championships in our dynasty league, and you don't have a single one of them.
Ask me how many wins I had last year. Spoiler alert, 0, and that's because I was getting 6 first round picks in my fucking bag.
You almost beat me though. I remember that in our last.
Yeah, I'm good for 1 to 2 upsets a year. Also, I was in the playoffs 2 years ago, so.
And you went from the playoffs to 0 wins.
Yeah, because I realized my team was garbage. My team was absolute dog ass. I said, fuck you guys, goodbye. Ryan, your stream of the weeks, go for it.
We are back. Week 1 streams of the week. If you've never done this before, all available in 50% or more ESPN leagues at quarterback. We're going to go Baker Mayfield taking on the Washington Commanders. You know what? This defense is young. They don't have a great pass rush. They don't have great corners or established corners yet. I think Baker can play it safe with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and go for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. At tight end, I'm going against myself here. I'm going to pick Taysom Hill against the Carolina Panthers. Why not pick on the worst defense? Tight end rostership is very tight right now, but the long and short is Taysom Hill is the backup at every position for the New Orleans Saints. I think he's safe for 10 touches and a touchdown in this game, which is great for any fantasy tight end. And then for defense, this guy actually got mentioned in the comments earlier in the show. The Houston Texans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. I spent the entire offseason bad-mouthing Anthony Richardson. So this is me putting my money where my mouth is. I like this Houston Texans defense, especially with Danielle Hunter being brought in. It's all about sacks and turnovers, and I think we can see 2 of each in this game as Anthony Richardson works off the rust. Those are the week 1 streams of the week. Full article available tomorrow.
That was the other team I was taking if the Falcons, if somebody did take the Falcons, I was taking the Texans in my – it was Bengals, Texans, Falcons. It was honestly – whoever was there.
2 defenses that statted out very well for me in my season-long projections are the 2 guys who brought in the defensive linebackers to be their coaches, DeMeco Ryans in the Houston Texans and Antonio Pierce in the Las Vegas Raiders. I have those teams statted out better than any other ranker on the sites that I rank on. I get when we have players ranked too highly, we get yelled at with our little system. And every week it was the Texans and the Raiders, but I didn't change them once because I really think they're going to be good.
I was going to say the Raiders were top 3, top 5 defense when Antonio Pierce took over to close out the season.
I will say, go ahead.
I was saying their pass rush got better, which is hard to say when you have a guy like Max Crosby, but they've done nothing but improve that defense. So.
Thanks.
I will say I do agree with Ryan. I was putting my money where my mouth is. I drafted Will Anderson, who I projected to be a top 10 defensive lineman in fantasy football this year. I am sitting him in favor of Christian Wilkins because he's playing the Chargers. That might change by Sunday, but I did draft Will Anderson. I do think that that Danielle Hunter addition is going to be massive for Will Anderson, not for Danielle Hunter. For Will Anderson is going to be massive for.
But and Joe, you understand this better than anyone. I'm not explaining it to you. When you have a second pass rusher that teams have to focus on, it frees someone up. And right now in their careers, Danielle Hunter demands respect, and it is going to just make things so much easier for Will Anderson. So.
Yeah, Steelers fans, you want to know why Alex Highsmith has a good amount of sacks every year? It's not because he's great. It's because there's another guy on the opposite side they got to give 7 resources to. Not to say Alex Highsmith is bad. I do think he's a solid guy. He is not the amount of sacks guy that he is without TJ Watt on the opposite side of him. Millie Mills trade question. He's trying to get Higgins only from a league mate. He's got Gibbs as well. He was thinking Dell and Jameson Williams or Montgomery in Jameson Williams. Would you take that deal for T. Higgins? Ryan with the aggressive no.
I'm not giving up Monty for T. Higgins, plain and simple. I hoard
Agreed.
running backs. If they will take Dell and Jamo, jam that fucking trade through as quickly as you can. I love the upside of T. Higgins this year playing for a fucking contract. Him and Joe Burrow have gelled during training camp. You have the question marks surrounding Jamar Chase. We still don't know what Tank Dell's role is. They just named Stephon Diggs a captain, if you buy into that at all. So no way I'm moving Monty. Monty's another 10 touchdowns this year. But if you can make Dell and Jamo happen as quickly as possible.
Josh.
Yeah, I would offer up Dell and Jamo in a heartbeat, but not really down for giving up Monty. I mean, Higgins is what he is. 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Like, that's pretty much what you can pencil him in for. I'm not buying the, he's going to have a career year because he's in a contract year, all that nonsense. Like, once Jamar Chase gets on the field, he's going to be a 10 target per game guy. So
I love that Josh literally just said my take was nonsense. Literally, I just said what Josh was making fun of, and he's like, I'm not buying the bullshit you just heard from the guy before me.
I don't like Jameson Williams at all this year. I think I hedged my bet in one league in the 20th round and drafted him. And I like Tank Dell, but T. Higgins is way better. I love guys playing in contract years. I put those into my projections like that. So, and Gator's wondering how the Falcons come out in your projections this year, Ryan.
They moved up with the guys they brought in, and it was hard not to. Matthew Judon, Justin Simmons. The fact of the matter is this: they were so bad for fantasy purposes last year. The only way to go is up. So when we're talking about a team that was in the bottom 5 last year, I think I moved them up into the high 20s. Again, they're a great streaming option, but there are really very few defenses you should be banking on to be great for every week of the season.
And we end it with, also if there's more questions, please drop them. We'll obviously end with questions, but we end it with underdog props. And we have a fun little promo code with Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the code WOFF, W-O-F-F. Claim your free pick. See, I love this layout because it blocks Josh's face. Sign up with the code WOFF to claim your free pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. I used mine today, deposited $50, got a little $25 free, and you will see me on Saturday jumping for joy when my $25 turns into $2,000 after picking 8 correct picks in the Eagles-Green Bay Packers game, which I will share with you after we each go through all of our Underdog Fantasy props. Josh, we'll start with you.
Christian Kirk, over 4.5 receptions. I think this is probably the easiest one. Miami's corners outside of Jalen Ramsey are really not great, in my opinion.
No, you can just say Miami's corners. You're fine.
Well, I'll give a little respect to Jalen Ramsey. He does still have a lot of speed, and he's a respected corner in the NFL, even if all corners suck because the rules just don't give them any favors. But Christian Kirk over 4.5 receptions. He's likely to see 8+ targets in this game. This just feels like such a gimme layup, honestly. So I think that's an easy one to build a parlay around.
Ryan.
I'm going to keep it in the same game. Devon Achane. A healthy Devon Achane is always a threat to score a touchdown. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and then it has that little spicy logo next to it, where if you throw it in your bet, it actually gets you a little bit higher percentage. It's a 1.1 for the spicy picks on Underdog if that's being offered to you guys. But I like him to score in this game, which I think is going to be pretty high-scoring. I don't have a ton of respect for the rush defense of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mine. Travis Kelce over 0.5 receiving yards tomorrow night against the Baltimore Ravens. Some might say that's a lock, but after last year, you'll never know. You never know with these 0.5 givers. No. Underdog is doing a gimme right now. Travis Kelce to have 1 receiving yard. It's a gimme. So when I tell you your $25 of or whatever you put, the match bonus can go, one of those picks can be Travis Kelce to have a receiving yard. I would go use the code WAF right now to make sure that you can do that. And I will share with you guys after we answer this question from Sio Verasta. Not right, but we're going with it. Debo or Jalen Waddle this year? Who are you taking? Well, I can tell you Josh is not taking Debo. We'll skip him. He's just doesn't like Debo Samuel. Ryan, we'll go to you.
And Josh has turned me against Jalen Waddle.
Okay. So this is really confusing for you.
No support for Jalen Waddle coming from me. Debo statted out quite high for me. He did not come terribly down to earth after the Brandon Ayuk re-signing. The long and short is there's not a ton of backup running back behind Christian McCaffrey. I think Debo is going to see plenty of carries this year, which inflates his value. For season long, I'm going Debo Samuel.
I don't love Jalen Waddle this year. I'm not a big Debo Samuel guy.
I was going to say, Joe doesn't like either one of these.
No, I don't love either one of them. It was a lot of where they were going in drafts. I don't love either one of them. If I am picking one, I am picking Debo Samuel. I say better offense. They're both very good offenses, but
they're both the second targets in their offense.
They are both the second targets in their offense, but I do feel that Debo can be utilized more, and they both have injury history. So they're the same player in a nutshell. Injury history, second target on their team. It's not a great situation for either, but I do like Debo more than Jalen Waddle here on this one. Okay, here is my free bonus bet pick from Underdog Fantasy. So you too can deposit $50, get $25 free, and win $1,990 on Friday night.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about? But you're talking about your 18.
Yeah. 8 picks, the most you can make in an Underdog Fantasy little pick'em thing. This is my first one I ever did. Saquon Barkley over 2.5 receptions. Feels good. I like that one. Christian Watson, longest reception, over 19.5. If he's going to catch one, he's got to catch one deep, right? He's got to catch one deep. Devonta Smith, lower than 6.5 targets. When A.J. Brown's in the game, listen.
I was going to say, this was the first one that made me cringe.
Second half of last year, Devonta Smith averaged 5 targets. Second half of last year. I'm just saying. And you know I don't think this game is going to go very well, especially through the air. Jalen Hurts, over 8.5 rushing attempts. Spicy pick.
That is spicy. I am curious to see how Kellen Moore deploys Jalen Hurts.
So I will say, I don't love it, but I'm sitting there and I was looking at last year. I'm like, if they're going to win this fucking game, he's got to run. And I'm thinking too, like the 4th and 1 situations or the 3rd and 1 situations, there has to be 2 or 3 of those in the game. So I should need him to have 5 to 6 legit rushing attempts, and I think that happens. Josh Jacobs, under 63.5 rushing yards. I like the Philly front 7. Jaden Reed.
I don't like the Philly front 7.
I'm good with it. Reed, you know what? Reed Blankenship's going to come up and just pop him right in the mouth. Jaden Reed, over 3.5 receptions. I don't love this one. I'm not too confident, but it's in there. Jake Elliott, over 1.5 field goals made. Spicy pick. Fun fact.
I hate fucking with kickers outside of the United States. I feel like
they're playing at elevation, I thought, though. Rio has some elevation to it. So I think that's why I like that.
You've done your research.
And Jordan Love.
The game was in Sao Paulo, not Rio.
It's somewhere in Brazil.
Shit.
It's in a location. I can tell you, it's in a location.
Yeah, it's definitely on Earth.
And to be fair, Jake Elliott doesn't need the elevation. He's got a big enough leg. Yeah. So I'm not worried about it. And my last one to round out this $2,000 parlay, you're welcome. Jordan Love, lower than 2.5 rushing attempts. He did not run the football a lot last year. I looked into it because I was like, that feels low, and I wanted to take the higher. He did not run the football a lot last year.
For Joe's point, Sao Paulo, 2,500 above sea level, so half a mile.
That's not too high. No, it's higher than Philly, but it's.
I was just gonna say it's
a lot higher than Philly.
Yeah, it's a lot higher than Philly. It's not too high, but I, when come Friday night when you see me tweeting that I won $2,000, just know that could have been you. That could have been you. And then when you see me immediately losing that bet, when Josh Jacobs rips a 75-yard touchdown to start the game. Then you know that. But here's the thing: it's free money. It was just free money given to me. So I was like, you know what? We got to go big or go home. And that's kind of what I went with there. Caesar said he somehow just ended with Amonra Gibbs Laporta team. That's not really.
That's your first 3 picks, probably. I like it. I don't hate it.
It's not bad. I mean, if Detroit's offense sucks this year, you're in a real bad spot.
But they shouldn't. Not with those 14 indoor games. I love it.
Correct. He said Laporta fell to the 4th in his office league, and he had to take him.
Gotta do it.
When I tell you, office and home leagues might be
Incredible.
some of the greatest things ever concocted. T. Higgins was a first-round pick because I had a Bengals fan in my office, and I looked at him across the room. I said, really? He said, I'm just drafting all Bengals. I said, good for you, buddy. Joe Burrow went in the 2nd round. I love it.
My work league did their draft last night. I snagged Jamar Chase at the 2-2.
Ow.
And Drake London fell to the 3-11.
Again, Antonio Gibson was the 2-8 in one of my... I cannot tell... That is the strangest pick I've ever seen in my life. And for those just joining, CBS Sports in a post-draft email quoted it as a reach. That was it. I looked at the post-draft email to see what they said about Antonio Gibson. It was 2 words. A reach. That's crazy. A reach. Cesaro said his boss's boss auto-drafted Hall and Bijan. How do you auto-draft them? They're 2 of the top 3 guys.
Did they have the 1st and 2nd pick because they're the boss?
Yeah.
That'd be such a boss thing to do.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah, and I took James Cook as the 2-2 in the work league. And yes, this is the same work league I'm talking about.
You're not gonna love him this week.
Drafted exclusively Georgia players. So
a faith drafter.
How the hell did Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson fall to the turn? What is God?
Oh,
All right, listen. I love our mock draft shows. Ryan and Gator.
Well, hold on a second, because don't we kind of have to yell at Caesar in this because he's part of the reason those guys fell to the turn?
Well, I mean, he took Amonra, so
he said he took Amonra because he has a lot of Hall and Bijan, so he wanted to switch things
diversify
up.
your
diversify.
So here's what I want to say. One, I don't do that. I just go with my guys, and if I suck, I suck. That's every league sucks at that point. Here's I need to embark wisdom here. I love our mock draft shows. They're some of our best shows. Ryan, Gator, everybody that they do fantastic. In your home and office leagues, the mock drafts you do mean nothing, and they mean a negative amount for the reason.
According to Joe, you have done yourself a disservice.
You've done yourself a disservice
by drafting with competence.
Yes, you've done yourself a disservice because Bijan Robinson and Breece Hall went at the turn.
So in a similar situation, I helped a guy do a draft yesterday, and Justin Jefferson fell to the turn. We took Jahmyr Gibbs because, as you know, Joe, running back early always. So.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, I found myself, I did not go running back this year. I was either running back, receiver, running back, or running back, receiver. And then in the 4th round, I kind of figured it out from there. But that 2nd round area, I had the 5th and the 10th in like almost every draft. I did not love the guys that were there in the 2nd round. Yeah, the Kieran Williams, the James Cook was there in the late 2nd, so I think I took him in like a 14 and a 12-team league.
Unless you were in a draft with Emma.
Yes, of course. But like the Kieran Williams, the Derrick Henrys, the Isaiah Pacheco's, everyone on this show knows I'm not a big fan of those guys. I don't mind Derrick Henry, but I wasn't willing to latch myself onto Derrick Henry this year. I didn't like those guys, so I found myself taking Garrett Wilson if he ended up falling there. I think I stretched on a couple of them, but there were points where I was a number 1 pick in a 14-team league, so I had to stretch at some point. But I didn't. I found myself I took Marvin Harrison Jr. in the late 2nd round, and then took James Cook in the early 3rd. That's where I liked those guys going at. And in the 14-team league, I took McCaffrey, and then I think I wrapped with Drake London and Devonta Smith. Because had to. But ended up getting Joe Mixon in the 4th, so This draft was a little weird this year. It was definitely out of pocket. We got one last one here. Gator, Hunter Henry over under 10.5 touchdowns for the season. If Hunter Henry,
Derrick Henry, you dipshit.
oh, dude, I've heard so many people hyping up Hunter Henry that he has been in my head. He has been in my head. Hunter Henry. Ryan, I said this because I heard someone say Hunter Henry will have the most touchdowns out of a tight end this year.
I know. At first, I thought it.
Like, what are we talking about?
I heard you say it the first time, and I'm like, he's gonna catch himself. And then I heard how mad you were about to get.
No.
I gotta pause. I gotta hit pause.
No.
Right now.
Can we please put the first name? How many touchdowns do you think Smith's gonna have this year? Put the fucking first name.
You were just talking about Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and I forgot about him instantly.
I'm in fucking tears right now.
I think he's over. Gus Edwards had a shit ton of touchdowns last year, right?
13 touchdowns last year on the
team. Yeah. Hunter Henry might go 20.
Derrick Henry, for the love of God.
Hunter Henry might go 20. It's Hunter Henry now. Hunter Henry. They're the same guy.
I mean, how could you tell them apart?
Yeah.
It's the suit.
Let's start with their physical appearance.
Yeah. 6'4",
the exact same.
African American.
No. That means nothing. That means nothing. You look at them and you say, "Oh, Derrick Henry's just a tan Hunter Henry."
Yeah, that's I say clearly they have the exact same.
They truly the only thing they have in common is that I'm calling them the same name in this thing because
they actually may weigh the same amount, but just very different.
I was going to say that they might be the same size. No, one just happens to be playing tight end and is white, and the other
is not scoring 10.5 touchdowns.
You don't know that, Ryan. You don't know that. According to Fantasy Twitter, Hunter Henry's the gem that you want to find late in drafts. I don't know what fucking gem you guys are looking for.
I mean,
but
if
it's not
late,
Hunter
it's
Henry.
Not the worst thing. I mean, his value is going to come from scoring touchdowns. It's not going to be volume. So.
Josh, be honest with me. Do the Patriots as a team score 10 touchdowns this year?
I think they scored 12.
Okay. How many through the air?
That's what I'm saying. But Hunter Henry could very easily have half of those.
I cannot believe
he's
the end of this show.
He's a viable red zone threat.
Into Hunter Henry. By the way, Hunter Henry, Derrick Henry, same weight. Hunter Henry is 3 inches taller.
Is he really?
Yes.
What is he listed as? 6'6"?
6'5".
Derrick Henry's only 6'2".
That's what he's listed at.
Only.
Yeah.
That's lies. That's fucking lies. He's not 6'2". He's got to be 6'3", 6'4".
The dreads make him seem taller.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The fact that he knocks everybody down in front of him makes him seem taller.
Also.
See, why can't Hunter Henry do that? Why can't
he?
Yeah. So someone explain that to me. They're the same size, and he has 3 inches on Derrick Henry.
They're the same person.
Guys, 3 inches is huge, all right? That's massive.
Enormous.
Yeah. Some say it's too much. Yeah, some people say it's too much. Some say you can't tell the difference between 6'2" and 6'5". Some say you can't say the difference. If this is fucking true, I'm flipping my desk. He cannot be the tight end too. There's no way. There's no way.
He means on the Patriots.
That can't be right. It can't be accurate.
I'm pretty sure your dad is just playing into the joke of the show here that you all
Ryan, I don't think he is because he's a good blocking tight end. He's a very good blocking tight end. What are we doing?
Let's find out.
Oh my God.
Now.
Okay, well, Josh is fact checking that.
I thought that we were about to get out of here early.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. Fuck you. You can leave. All right, you can leave. You can leave.
See, you guys are out here just destroying losers.
No, Hunter Henry is. I mean, just
stop it. You're fact checking a joke.
Hey,
I know.
Hey, Dad.
Well, I was trying to verify. Hunter Henry is actually tight end 21 in PFF grade.
So if you knock off the 1, he's tight end 2. When you think about it.
There you go.
Yeah. Also, Dad, it's past your bedtime. Go to sleep.
I thought it was great.
You got work in the morning. Trophy Smack, once again, any of your needs, trophysmack.com/WOFF. Shop all their products. If you like your commissioner, get him something. If you don't like your commissioner, like 99% of the world, get yourself something, because that's the more fun thing. Treat yourself, as Aziz
I was gonna say,
Ansari
I mean, they
and
do
Parks
have a
and Rec
whole
said.
line of losers gear too. Like, you got to have a loser mentality to put yourself in a position to be a commissioner of a league. Let's be real. So.
Yeah. Get your commissioner losers gear stuff. That's perfect. Yeah.
Most commissioners of leagues, everyone I hear from is like, I have the worst luck in my league. I never fucking win. It's
Okay.
all I deal with is bullshit. Like,
I commission
Hey,
way too many leagues to be attacked like this.
Amen to that. Ryan, you're a stay-at-home dad with gray in your beard.
That's where the stress comes from. He's commissioning too many leagues.
This beard was dark until I started commissioning.
I was about to say. All right. We got a bunch of shows, folks. Sneaky Flex is back, hosted by Wendy, with the Sneaky Girls. Miss Rowan and Maisie are back Thursday night at 7:30. So before you tune into the first game of the season, every Thursday night game this year, check them out at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. DFS Academy. That's Friday mornings at 9. Start, sit, different day. It is back. Yeah! Let's fucking go. I honestly forgot about that, but I'm very excited. 11 a.m. Eastern. Josh and Joe have weekly guests, so we have TBD is coming back. Very excited about that. But starts at different day. If you didn't get your starts at questions in, or we know shit changes in the 72 hours that we do this show.
Yeah.
Please drop those starts at questions
And
on
there's
Saturday.
2 games before Saturday as well. So
Correct.
If some of those players that you're playing against blow up, you might need to shoot for the stars. And that's where these start-sit questions come into play.
Yeah, or somebody pops off, you can maybe play a little more conservative and not have to go with a big swing. Monday's Hangxiety. That's the weekend recap. Boom. Been watching
New host for that show.
Yeah, been watching way too much TikTok. Mondays at 11 a.m. New show is Wiretap. That is Ryan and Josh, because they have nothing else to do on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. So why don't you join them on your early little lunch break? That's waiver wire questions. So obviously Tuesdays, you want to get your waiver wire stuff in. They're going to help you there. Trade Blocked with Dusty, Joel, and Hoove moves to Tuesday nights at 9. And next week, Cleat Dreams, our new weekly Women of Fantasy Football show with Kelly and Renee, debuts at 9:30 p.m. So right after this show wraps up, give it about 15 minutes, and those ladies will be starting live on Club Fantasy and Women of Fantasy Football YouTube as well. Dynasty After Party will also return in a few weeks on Thursday nights as well.
And then we also have our DFS Captain Showdown show. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Austin and I are going to be recording that after this show. So we'll be covering the Ravens and Chiefs. So that'll be dropping tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Ryan. He said, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." What do you?
There you go.
Robin Williams died for this. Okay.
Yep, he did.
Jeez. Fun fact: died on my birthday. It's not a fun fact. It's just a fact. But last one from War Eagle. War Eagle, baby. 10-man league. Rate his team. Or her team. Burrow, Hall, Pacheco, Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, Tank Dell, Dalton Kincaid. Rocking 2 Texans receivers. Ryan.
Yeah, I was going to say, as nicely as possible, weak at receiver. I think Breece Hall is really the anchor of this team, but not a huge fan of the wide receivers. I'd give it a B.
Josh.
Yeah, probably a 7 out of 10. I think there's a lot of boom bust with this receiver set. Like, I like Nico. I love Devonta. I think Tank Dell obviously will have some pop weeks, but you're lacking that really consistent wide receiver 1 production. Burrow, as long as he stays healthy, likely a top 7 quarterback. Obviously, Hall is great. I think Pacheco is fine as an RB2. I know some people have a lot higher hopes for him. I'm big on Kincaid this year.
Hey, Liz Loza loves Isaiah Pacheco, and she's smarter than we are.
Yeah, and I do love Dalton Kincaid. So yeah, I think there's pluses and minuses as most teams have, but yeah, I'd say about 7 out of 10.
It's a tough one for me because you got my RB1 and a guy who I hate at running back. But overall, it's okay.
I guess my worry here is, and the thing that jumps off at me is, I don't see a second-round pick out of this group. I'm going to guess it was Pacheco. I don't see a second-round pick out of this group, and I think that's the knock for me, because I'm going to guess Collins was 3, Smith was 4, Kincaid was 5, maybe flip them. Dell 6, Burrow 7. All of that kind of makes sense to me. They're not my favorites from those rounds. Love Breece Hall. Agree with Joe. Love Breece Hall. But I just don't feel like there's a second round pick on this team. And that's what's bothering me about it.
We are not a big Isaiah Pacheco
we're
show for reference, War Eagle. I think I've seen your name a couple times over the last few years. We're not big Isaiah Pacheco guys. So if we're wrong, you're really right. Congratulations. Yeah. But we just don't love his receiving upside. And I mean, there is reasons he was a 7th round pick. There's just plain and simple. There's reasons he was a 7th round pick. He's a good running back. In real life, fantasy can be, question mark week to week. Breece Hall should carry your team. I hope you have a little bit of depth at running back on your bench, maybe just at least one other guy, and then maybe some good middle round receivers that you can rope in and kind of interchange. Devonta Smith is probably going to be the constant in your lineup at receiver, and then it's going to be Nico, Tank, somebody. I mean, honestly, best case scenario for you, one of the Texans receivers gets injured, and then you have the other guy. So it's down to 2 options instead of 3. I think that's honestly one of your better case scenarios. But if Tank Dell pops off one week,
or Diggs gets hurt, and all of a sudden your wide receivers look fucking great.
I mean, yeah, then that really helps you there too. I don't mind having the 2 receivers on the same team.
Yeah, I think that's a very overblown ideology that people.
But it's tough when there's 3 options. Mm-hmm. If you had AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, that's fine. There's 2 options in that offense downfield.
Cooper Kupp or something. Yeah.
Exactly. When you have 2 options downfield, I have no problem with that. The 2 options in a 3-person offense, like if you had 2 Packers receivers, any 4 of those guys plus the tight end could go off in any given game. So that's tough. You don't have 2 horses. Again, you have, like Ryan said, best case scenario, Stephon Diggs tweaks his hamstring and you have the top 2 guys down the field in Houston like they did last year. So, again, it's early. No game has kicked off. Everything we thought could be right. Everything we thought could be wrong. Yeah. And 99% of this game is luck. So I hope you have good luck. That's all I'm going to say is I hope you have good luck. For Josh, Ryan, myself, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. If you haven't subscribed the YouTube page, we very much appreciate it. Thank you to the 500 plus of you that joined us throughout the offseason, continuing into this season. And we are very excited to do another year of NPI. I think this is year 7 for this for the flagship show. So very, very excited. Thank you all that have signed up as the super fans, correct? Is that what they're called, Josh, on here? On YouTube? Members, excuse me. Thank you to all the members. I know Joe Ortiz, my burner account, Caesar. I see all you guys in there. We appreciate all the love and the everything you guys have done so far. You will see myself and Josh on Saturday on Starts at Different Day. Ryan at some point. I think Monday's Anxiety is your next time, right? All right.
No, DFS Academy.
DFS, excuse me. But if you didn't get your Start Sit show in, Starts a Different Day, Saturday, 11 a.m. Always remember, defense wins championship, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week.